So I posted my sketchbook tour a couple months ago for halfway through my sketchbook, and I actually finished it in January and just never got around to doing anything with it. So this is from sometime in the fall through January 2019. And I left off on this little house. And as you can see, whenever I leave stuff blank, I end up going back and filling it up with notes. So I don't have a lot of blank pages by the time I'm done. This was just some watercolor practicing, and the same with this. I used photo references and just did some faces. I really like my watercolor palette has a empty lid, so I use that for color mixing, but when I want to clean it out, I just mix it all together and then paint with whatever earth tone it ends up with. So then it gets clean, but I don't waste the paint. This was for Inktober. The prompt was poisonous, so I drew a cane toad. They're in Australia and they eat all the other toads, but no one eats them because they're poisonous. So that's that guy. This was a frame for a printing studio project. I can post the finished result over here or something. It was just a ornate little picture frame with a completely aqua tinted back so that you couldn't see any of it. And then this was the Inktobers again. I don't know why I did poison twice. I must have forgot that I did it earlier. But that was Poison was a frog, Serene was this random lady in the water, then Chicken obviously is a chicken, Spell was a wishing well. That sort of got messed up. I don't use a lot of India ink, so it shows. I need to practice a bit more with that, and I'm not a super big line art person. It never looks how I want it to look, so I definitely want to practice more with that. And then Drool is just a drooling person. This was another project for my printmaking class. I wanted it to be really atmospheric and have just power lines and stairs and be sort of dark gray. I can post a picture of that too. And then some more Inktobers. This is where I kind of fell off the wagon and stopped doing them. Maybe next time I'll actually get through it. But this is actually Off Fan Art, the video game. I love it, and he fights a giant ghost whale, so figured it would be perfect time to post the whale. These are just notes for class, and then I went to this museum exhibit on the Anthropocene, which is a proposed geologic period of what we're in now, which is man-made impact on geology. It actually wasn't a very good exhibit. It was aimed toward kids, so I can't knock them on that, but all the information that was up could be conveyed through a PowerPoint, which to me defeats the purpose of it being in a museum. There should be objects and not just pictures. I don't know. It was interesting though. They had some interesting taxidermy on extinct animals, so that was cool. These are just some figure drawings. I wanted it to be more stylized, so I didn't really care about proportion or anything. It was pretty fun. I don't know, a lot of people have cool art styles even when they're just figure drawing, so I wanted to get into that. I might try a little bit more of this. This is notes on this side, and this was another Inktober when the word was cruel. So I did a little hand and a mouse trap, which is a bummer. But then it got me thinking about migraines, so I tried drawing a droopy migraine face. And I've never been really able to illustrate how migraine face feels, but I did a quick doodle of when you're laying on your side and your migraine eye is on the top. I always stress about what if it drips down into the bottom and then you have two migraine eyes. And that's not really what happens. Sometimes it'll get bad, it's your whole face, but it doesn't drip, so I don't know why that's always on my mind. This was more notes from a museum for class. The exhibit is the International, and so they had a bunch of cool artists and new exhibits in. These were just little doodles. I don't really know of what. That looks like a bird. This was more trying to play with India ink and make it do what I want. And then these sort of like abstract things are because this artist in the International, Yuji Agamatsu, basically smoked a whole pack of cigarettes every day, which I don't recommend, and then would use the little plastic wrapper that they came in as a like tiny plastic bag for finding objects. So this was like a lollipop they found, and like a lot of their stuff had just like dry chewed gum and stuff, and there were like one for every single day of a year. So it would be like they smoked an entire pack of cigarettes and then just walked around and found items on the street. And I thought their system, they would like journal where they found and what they found. And I think found object art's really cool, so I took some pictures and then I like tried abstracting it into different shapes and stuff. But it was just pretty inspiring, so I like them. This was more of what they did, like this would be the plastic bag full of garbage they found, and then I would try to turn it into just shapes. The faces aren't related. And then on this side, I bought neon paint, and I just wanted to play with it, but I'm a dummy, and I bought it translucent, and I hate translucent acrylics, so I basically found like photographs, because there's a store near me that just sells random other people's photographs, and then I like tried to like paint it in a cloudscape. I think this is gouache. I was also learning how to use gouache, so it was just a practice. This is notes from my old internship, and then notes from class, and then some random faces, and then this guy actually was also a print class project. It was, I don't even remember what the prompt was, but I wanted to make a bug, so I made a man spider, and I couldn't decide like where the spider was coming out, like out of his ear or mouth or eye, but I think I ended up, like this was the final one I ended up with. And that's pretty much all that. This was just for my like final project, which was, I don't remember any of these prompts, but I wanted to do something with like, I was really into House of Leaves. It's one of my favorite books, and a reoccurring theme is like the labyrinth and the minotaur, and I just love cows, so I wanted to illustrate cows because I love them. And what else can I say about that? I don't know. And I still was really into bugs. And then on this side, I don't know what's really drawn underneath it anymore, but it's a quote on top from a poem I liked by Terrence Hayes that was like, I have no form because I have no allegiance to form. And that one just sort of stuck with me. The actual poem it came from was called, it was like a two-parter, and the first part was called Translation of a Scene from a Non-Existent Movie. And it said, "You are just stupid, cruel, and jealous," the emperor tells the prophet after the prophet says, "Let me tell you what will be the trouble with you." But just before the emperor removes the prophet's head, which is to say, just before he orders it removed. And then the second part, which is what the quote was from, was scene deleted under the emperor's order. "There is no death beyond the theory of death," the prophet tells the emperor, just after the emperor asks for his head and just before the head of the prophet is taking leave of the body. The head of the prophet taking leave of the body can be heard saying, "I have no form because I have no allegiance to form." And I'm not going to act smart and say I know what it means, I just liked the words in that order. But Terrence Hayes is a really good poet, and he has Lighthead, which is the first one I ever read of him, but then he has another book that came out that's really good. I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's something about sonnets of the American Black Man or something like that. I don't know, I'll post a picture of it when I find it. It's also a really good book, and it's all in sonnets, which I think is intense. This was just more working on like the Minotaur concept with bugs. I really wanted bugs involved. I'm really a fan of those. And just some sketches of cows. This was when I wanted, it's like a hand coming out of the cow's eye and trying to get out, and I was like, what if the cow was the labyrinth? But I didn't end up going with that, but I dwelled on it for a while. Like on these, it's just all a guy trying to get out of a cow. I don't know. I really wanted to make art of cows, and then I wanted it to have a meaning, but I didn't want to find out a meaning, so it's just weird. I like this guy though, and the final thing I can show you, but it didn't really end up like this at all, but I'd still like to stick with this theme. And here's a person inside of a frog. I guess I'm just into visual turduckens. This was, again, trying to figure out gouache. So the bottom of this is just India ink, and then the figures on top are white gouache. And it was pretty interesting because they didn't, like, soak into the paper since the India ink was dried under it. So it, like, sat there on top. I really like this figure right here. She has, like, her arm crossed and a hand on her knee. And that's her back if you can't see it. I don't know. It's hard when you looked at the reference. You can see it automatically, but I don't know if you can see it without, like, context. And then more figures. I really like figure drawing. It's very fun. So this is India ink on paper, and this is gouache on India ink on paper. Those are fun. I liked drawing her feet. I think feet are fun to draw just because they're like a flat plane that can twist, and you can see, like, both sides of it. I don't know if that makes sense. And then here's the end of it. This is a self-portrait. I'm gonna try to finish all my sketchbooks with a self-portrait just because I think that would be fun to look at over time. So that's everything. Have a great afternoon. Bye.